All right. Welcome everyone to who may be watching this and future beings to come. This is a UK weekly Sangha. We do this every Wednesday. Right now, it's me and Veda here, and I thought it might be a good idea to um, pick a sutta to run through and read and see what wisdom we can gain from it. So I just went to the Majjhima Nikaya, the middle length discourses. It's a part of the Pali Canon, so the original, um, some of the oldest canon that the teachings of the Buddha uh, has to offer. So the original teachings, and this is the Bhikkhu Bodhi translation. So this is the Majjhima Nikaya 5, the Anaṅgaṇasutta, and the English translation is without blemishes. Here we go. Thus have I heard on one occasion the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anapindika's park. There the Venerable Sariputta addressed the bhikkhus thus. Friends, bhikkhus, friend, they replied. The Venerable Sariputta said this. And Sariputta, for those who don't know, is the Buddhist chief disciple. So his star student, so to speak, um, the one who attained to arhatship under the guidance of the Buddha. I think one of the first ones. And he said this: Friends, there are four kinds of people found existing in this world. What for? Here, some person with a blemish does not understand it as it actually is. Thus, I have a blemish in myself. Here, some person with a blemish understands it as it actually is. Thus, I have a blemish in myself. Here, some person with no blemish does not understand it as it actually is. Thus, I have no blemish in myself. Here, some person with no blemish understands it as it actually is. Thus, I have no blemish in myself. Herein, the person with a blemish who does not understand it as it actually is, I have a blemish in myself, is called the inferior of these two persons with a blemish. Herein, the person with a blemish who understands it as it actually is, thus, I have a blemish in myself, is called the superior of these two persons with a blemish. Okay, so right off the bat, we have four categories of people. And my interpretation of what the word blemish here means, as it will go on to explain in the sutta, is kind of a taint or a hindrance. So a kind of a corruption, an inner corruption. So, for instance, like some anger, some malice, some ill will, those would all be considered a blemish. And right off, Sariputta has delineated four categories of people. The first two have blemishes. So they got mad or something, and of the two, one is aware, this is unwholesome in me, and one is not aware. Of those two people, the one that is aware of their inner blemish is superior. And of the two people who have no blemish, uh, the same is true. The one is who is aware, this is wholesome, I have no inner blemish, is superior to the one who's not aware, it has no inner blemish. And it'll go on to explain why here. Herein, the person with no blemish, who does not understand it as it actually is, I have no blemish, is called the inferior of these two people with no blemish. Herein, the person with no blemish, who understands it as it actually is, I have no blemish, is called the superior of these two people with no blemish. When this was said, the Venerable And I'm just going to butcher the Pali names and stuff because I don't know the pronunciation. But when this was said, the Venerable Maha Moggallana asked the Venerable Sariputta, "Friend Sariputta, what is the cause and reason why of these two persons with a blemish, one is called the inferior man, and one is called the superior man? What is the cause and reason why of these two persons with no blemish, one is called the inferior man, and one is called the superior man? Herein, friend, when a person with a blemish does not understand it as it actually is, I have a blemish in myself. It can be expected that he will not arouse zeal, make effort, or instigate energy to abandon that blemish. And he will die with lust, hate, and delusion, with a blemish, with mind defiled. Suppose a bronze dish were brought from a shop or a smithy covered with dirt and stains. The owners neither used it nor had it cleaned, but put it away in a dusty corner. Would the bronze dish thus get more defiled and stained later on? Yes, friend. So too, friend, a person with a blemish does not understand it as it actually is. I have a blemish in myself. It can be expected that he will die with mind defiled. So that's pretty profound there. What does that mean? So the worst of the four people, the one with a blemish that does not know he has a blemish, because of the ignorance uh, and the lack of awareness of what's going on inside that person, there's not going to be any right effort. So there's not going to be any zeal, any energy that arises to abandon the blemish. So it can be naturally expected that that blemish will proliferate itself and continue on with hate, lust, and delusion, and that person will die with a defiled mind, um, uh, thus continuing the cycle of samsara, as it were. And now we'll get to the next one, next paragraph. Herein, when a person with a blemish understands it as it actually is thus, I have a blemish in myself, it can be expected that he will arouse zeal, make effort, and instigate energy to abandon that blemish, and that he will die without lust, hate, and delusion, without blemish, with mind undefiled. Suppose a bronze dish were brought from a shop or a smithy covered with dirt and stains, and the owners had it cleaned and did not put it in a dusty corner. Would the bronze dish thus get cleaner and brighter later on? Yes, friend. So too, friend, when a person with a blemish understands it as it actually is thus, I have a blemish in myself, it can be expected that he will die with mind undefiled. Okay, so yeah, the first step to cleaning up is becoming aware of the dirt. So you take the blemish, you take the the ill will out of the dusty corner, out of the repressed, so to speak, attic of your mind. You bring it up into the forefront of your awareness. You understand this is unwholesome. You see it as it actually is. So you become aware of your inner blemish. This is actually a really good thing. So um, uh, this means that with right effort, we don't judge ourselves for this inner taint. We see it as it actually is. Oh, this is dirt. This is unwholesome. Now, the zeal and the energy is aroused in you to clean it up. And you can expect with this insight and wisdom, you will move towards a more wholesome state of mind and be liberated from that inner blemish because you're keeping inventory of what's going on inside of you. And that's the way. And so now we'll get to the latter four. Herein, when a person with no blemish does not understand it as it actually is, I have no blemish in myself. It can be expected he will give attention to the sign of the beautiful. Now, the sign of the beautiful, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I can guess that it means um, you're kind of uh, pulled into the delusion of uh, of the beauty of being free from a blemish without understanding why, or without understanding that um, you're free from a blemish. So you're just experiencing happiness without awareness of why, because there's no blemish. You don't know that there's no blemish. You're just experiencing the fruit of having no blemish. So that's my interpretation, but I might be wrong. That by his doing so, lust will infect his mind. So lust for this experience. Um, and that he will die with lust, hate, and delusion, with a blemish, with mind defiled. Suppose a bronze dish were brought from a shop or a smithy clean and bright, and the owners neither used it nor had it cleaned, but put it in a dusty corner. So the purified mind, you don't bring it to the forefront. You don't become aware of it. You just put it back in a dusty corner. Would the bronze dish thus get more defiled and more stained later on? Yes, friend. So too, friend, when a person with no blemish does not understand it as it actually is, I have no blemish in myself. It can be expected that he will die with mind defiled. So it's almost exactly the same as the first one. So whether you have an inner blemish or not, if you're completely oblivious to what's going on, so there's no right view there. You don't know you're free from the hindrances, or you don't know that you have a hindrance. It can be expected that the hindrances will not be abandoned in the future, or will the current hindrance will not be uh, it will not be sought after to abandon the current one or future ones. Um, and finally, the last one. Herein, when a person with no blemish understands it as it actually is, I have no blemish in myself. It can be expected that he will not give attention to the sign of the beautiful, that by his not doing so, lust will not infect his mind, and that he will die without lust, hate, and delusion, without blemish, with mind undefiled. Suppose a bronze dish were brought from a shop or a smithy clean and bright, and the owners used it and had it cleaned, and did not put it in a dusty corner. Would the bronze dish thus get cleaner and brighter later on? Yes, friend. So too, friend, when a person with no blemish understands it as it actually is, I have no blemish in myself. It can be expected that he will die with mind undefiled. This is the cause and reason why of these two persons with a blemish, one is called the inferior man and one is called the superior man. This is the cause and reason why of these two persons with no blemish, one is called the inferior man and one is called the superior man. Blemish, blemish is said, friend, but what is the word blemish a term for? Blemish, friend, is a term for the spheres of evil, unwholesome wishes. It is possible that a bhikkhu here might wish, if I commit an offense, let the bhikkhus not know that I have committed an offense. And it is possible that that bhikkhu come to know that that bhikkhu has committed an offense. So he is angry and bitter. The bhikkhus know I have committed an offense. The anger and bitterness are both a blemish. It is possible that a bhikkhu here might wish, I have committed an offense. The bhikkhu should admonish me in private, not in the midst of the Sangha. And it is possible that the bhikkhus admonish that bhikkhu in the midst of the Sangha, not so in private. So he is angry and bitter. The bhikkhus admonished me in the midst of the Sangha, not in private. The anger and bitterness are both a blemish. It is possible that a bhikkhu here might wish, I have committed an offense. A person who is my equal should admonish me, not a person who is not my equal. And it is possible that a person who is not his equal admonishes him, not a person who is his equal. So he is angry and bitter thus. So I think we can all relate to that one, right? So someone you perceive as below you, less intelligent than you, finds a fault in you or calls you out on something. Maybe in a work situation or in your family, someone who's less developed, less skilled as you, maybe less as mature as you, sees something in you that is a mistake, or sees an offense that you have done, and you might be okay with someone who's your superior calling you out on it, but someone who's inferior to you calling you out on it will arouse, for most of us, a lot of anger and bitterness, right? And to understand this anger and bitterness as unwholesome is wise. So to see it as a blemish and not see it as righteous anger, not see it as, how dare this person, how dare he, right? So we're coming into a state of wisdom, a state of seeing the harm of these types of unwholesome states. No matter the cause of the anger, we see simply anger as unwholesome, and we understand, oh, I have a blemish here. Let's get rid of it. Okay. It is possible that a bhikkhu here might wish, oh, that the teacher might teach the Dhamma to the bhikkhus by asking a series of questions of me, not some other bhikkhu. And it is possible that the teacher teaches the Dhamma to the bhikkhus by asking a series of questions of some other bhikkhu, not of that bhikkhu. So he is angry and bitter thus. The teacher teaches the Dhamma to the bhikkhus by asking questions to other bhikkhus, not me. The anger and bitterness are both a blemish. It is possible that a bhikkhu here might wish, oh, that the bhikkhus might enter the village for alms, putting me in the front and not some other bhikkhus. So I'm just going to skim through these. It's each paragraph starts with the same scenario and says, this causes anger and is a blemish. So he wants to be in the front of the Sangha on alms around, put in the back, gets angry. That's a blemish. Okay, so wanting the glory, wanting the limelight, and jealousy from not getting it. It is possible that a bhikkhu here might wish, oh, I might get the best seat, the best water, the best alms food in the refectory, and he doesn't get it. Oh, that I might give the blessing in the refectory after the meal, and not some other bhikkhu. It is possible, oh, I might teach the Dhamma to the bhikkhus, that I might teach the Dhamma to the bhikkhunis, men lay followers, women lay followers. Right? So there's kind of like this this selfish intention to teach the Dhamma that may not be from a purely wholesome intention. Hey Joe, welcome on board.
Hey.
We're just we're reading Majjhima Nikaya without blemishes. So a teaching that Sariputta gave um, about 4 types of people with a blemish that are aware of it, without it that are aware of it, and both of those that are not aware of it. And which one is, and the ones that are aware of it is better because they'll maintain the wholesome state. And then we're going through all these scenarios now towards the end of the sutta where a blemish might arise. So some anger, some ill will, some bitterness. And then this one that we're talking about right here is it is possible that a bhikkhu here might wish, oh, that I might teach the Dhamma to the bhikkhus, men lay followers, women lay followers, visiting the monastery and not some other bhikkhu. And some other bhikkhu teaches the Dhamma, and some jealousy, some bitterness arise. Fun. Ties them together. All right, sorry about that break and flow. I just got a call and ended my call here. So as I was saying, there might be some selfish intent to teach the Dhamma. So want the glory of, ooh, I'm important, I'm teaching the Dhamma, and I'm wise, and someone else teaches the Dhamma. So some jealousy, some bitterness may arise there, and that is a blemish. So it's not that that situation in and of itself is a terrible thing. That, oh, I have a blemish, but as earlier discussed in the sutta, what's important here is to see the blemish as a blemish, to not revel in our anger, to not to not take satisfaction in the anger that arises, to see the anger as unwholesome, because this comes from the wisdom to understand that this anger is very harmful for ourselves and others as well. So this anger is not good for you. It's going to harm you, and it's going to lead to further lust, hatred, and defilement. And understanding it as it actually is, oh, a blemish has arisen in me, will lead to the right effort to abandon that blemish and free yourself from it and purify your own mind and come into a wholesome state, a more enjoyable, a more satisfaction state. Um, and we continue here. It is possible that a bhikkhu here might wish, oh, that the bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, men lay followers, women lay followers, might honor, respect, revere, and venerate me, not some other bhikkhu. And it is possible that they honor, respect, and revere some other bhikkhu. It is possible that a bhikkhu here might wish, oh, that I might be the one to get a superior robe, superior alms fruit, superior resting place, superior medicinal requisites, not some other bhikkhu. And some other bhikkhu gets it. So the anger and the bitterness are both a blemish. So this 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 particular case falls into um, one of the 8 worldly winds, right? So praise and blame. So that would fall into the category of praise. So lusting for worldly acclaim, right? Um, this this is this is going to cause hindrances and unwholesome states to arise because even if you do get it, so um, you, let's say you don't get the worldly acclaim and you become jealous and bitter, that's unwholesome. But even if you do get the worldly acclaim and you become arrogant, you become prideful about it, that's going to just increase the delusion of selfhood, of of uh, lusting for this in particular being important or above others or somehow um, more holy, more righteous, right? Instead of actually on the inside being above others, more holy, more righteous. It's not about it's not that you shouldn't seek to be above and more holy and more righteous, but what actually makes you above, more holy, more righteous is to have no anger and bitterness, to have no jealousy within yourself, to be equanimous to all these things. And that truly makes you the superior man, as Sariputta was saying earlier. Blemish friend is a term for the spheres of these evil, unwholesome wishes. If the spheres of these evil, unwholesome wishes are seen and heard to be unabandoned in any bhikkhu, then for all he may be a forest dweller, a frequenter of remote abodes, an alms food eater, a house-to-house seeker, a refuse rag wearer, a wearer of rough robes, still his fellows in the holy life do not honor, respect, revere, and venerate him. Why is that? Because the spheres of these evil, unwholesome wishes are seen and heard to be unabandoned in that venerable one. So this inner unwholesomeness will seep through and show itself and communicate itself to other people. So in the Sangha, people will understand that there is anger and bitterness within this person, whether you understand it or not. So that's why it's important to become aware of these types of things. And I'm just gonna, okay, I'm still doing good on battery. Okay, so here we go. Suppose a metal bowl were brought from a shop or a smithy clean and bright, and the owners put the carcass of a snake or a dog or a human being in it, and covering it with another bowl went back to the market. Then people, seeing it, said, "What is that you are carrying around like a treasure?" Then raising the lid and uncovering it, they looked in, and as soon as they saw, they were inspired with such loathing, repugnance, and disgust that even those who were hungry would not want to eat, not to speak of those who were full. So too, if the spheres of these evil, unwholesome wishes are seen and heard to be unabandoned in any bhikkhu, then for all he may be a forest dweller, he may be all these things that a noble monk might be, um, unabandoned, but the evil, unwholesome wishes are still unabandoned in that venerable one. If the spheres of these evil, unwholesome wishes are seen and heard to be abandoned in any bhikkhu, then for all he may be a village dweller, an acceptor of invitation, a wearer of robes given by him by householders. Yet his fellows in the holy life honor, respect, revere, and venerate him. Why is that? Because the spheres of these evil, unwholesome wishes are seen and heard to be abandoned in that venerable one. So here it's making a very good point that applies to all of us who are not monks. So it says that even though this person is living in and of the world and is not a noble disciple and is not has not gone from home life into homelessness, um, if this person has abandoned these evil, unwholesome states, he will be revered and honorable and worthy of respect. This person will be understood to be noble by those other nobles. So this is a way of saying real recognize real, right? Um, and it takes one to know one. So this can be applied to whatever outer circumstances you may be in. Um, so this is important for people to understand that the Dhamma and the noble Dhamma and Nibbana is for everyone. I think that's one of the main messages Bhikkhu Buddhadasa was communicating there with his teachings, is that Nibbana is for everyone, no matter if you have a family or you're a monk. Suppose the metal bowl were brought from a shop or a smithy clean and bright, and the owners put clean boiled rice and various soups and sauces into it, and covering it with another bowl, went back into the market. Then people seeing it said, What is that you are carrying around like a treasure? Then raising the lid and uncovering it, they looked in, and as soon as they saw, they were inspired with such liking, appetite, and relish, that even those who were full would want to eat, not to speak of those who were hungry. So too, friend, if the spheres of these evil, unwholesome wishes are seen and heard to be abandoned in any bhikkhu, then for all he may be a village dweller, um, and he's understood to have abandoned these states, these unwholesome wishes. When this was said, the Venerable Maha Moggallana said to the Venerable Sariputta, "A simile occurs to me, friend Sariputta. State it, Moggallana." On one occasion, friend, I was living at the hill fort at Rajagaha. Then, when it was morning, I dressed, and taking my bowl and outer robe, I went into Rajagaja for alms. Now, on that occasion, Samiti, the cartwright's son, was planning a fellow and, forgive me for pronunciation, Ajivaka Panduputta, son of a former cartwright, was standing by. Then this thought arose in Ajivaka Panduputta's mind. Oh, that this Samati, the cartwright's son, might plane this bend, this twist, this fault out of the fellow, so that it would be without bends, twists, or faults, and come to consist purely of heartwood. And just as this thought came to pass his mind, so did Samiti, the cartwright's son, plane the bend, that twist, that fault, out of the fellow. And this fellow is spelled Felloe. So I'm not exactly sure what that means, but maybe someone is fixing something. It's called a fellow, that was twisted and bended. Then the Ajivaka Panduputta, son of former cartwright, was glad, and he voiced his gladness thus. He plains just as if he knew my heart with his heart. So too, friend, there are persons who are faithless and have gone forth from home life into homelessness, not out of faith, but seeking a livelihood, who are fraudulent, deceitful, treacherous, haughty, hollow, personally vain, rough-tongued, loose-spoken, unguarded in their sense faculties, immoderate in eating, undevoted to wakefulness, uncovered in recluseship, not gratefully respectful of training, luxurious, careless, leaders in backsliding, neglectful of seclusion, lazy, wanting in energy, unmindful, not fully aware, unconcentrated, with straying minds, devoid of wisdom, drivellers. The Venerable Sariputta, with his discourse on the Dhamma, plains out their faults, just as if he knew my heart with his heart. All right, so this is pointing out that many who become monks, especially in the culture where it's popular, might do it for the wrong reasons, simply to seek a livelihood, not for out of faith in the Dhamma, not out of faith in the Four Noble Truths and in the teachings of the Buddha. And faith here is kind of like a beginner thing that before you see the fruit of the Dhamma for yourself, it is kind of important to some extent to have faith in it, to try it to begin with. But once you see the fruit of Dhamma for yourself, this faith is seen to be unnecessary in a more advanced disciple. And I continue. But there are clansmen who have gone forth out of faith from the home life into homelessness, who are not fraudulent, deceitful, treacherous, haughty, hollow. And if you want to interrupt at any time, go for it. Okay, there are clansmen who have gone forth out of faith from the home life into homeless, who are not fraudulent, deceitful, treacherous, haughty, hollow, personally vain, rough-tongued, or loose spoken, who are guarded in their sense faculties, moderate in eating, devoted to wakefulness, concerned with recluseship, greatly respectful of training, not luxurious or careless, for keen to avoid backsliding, leaders in seclusion, energetic, resolute, established in mindfulness, fully aware, concentrated, with unified minds, possessing wisdom, not dribblers. These, on hearing the Venerable Sariputta's discourse on the Dhamma, drink it in, eat it in, eat it in, as it were, by word and thought. Good indeed it is that he makes his fellows in the holy life emerge from the unwholesome and establish themselves in the wholesome. Just as a woman or a man, young, youthful, fond of adornments, with head bathed, having received a garland of lotuses, jasmine, or roses, take it in with both hands and place it on the head. So too, there are clansmen who have gone forth out of faith, not dribblers. These, on hearing the Venerable Sariputta's discourses on the Dhamma, drink it in, eat it in, as it were, by word and thought. Good indeed it is that he makes his fellows in the holy life emerge from the unwholesome and establish themselves in the wholesome. Thus it was these two great beings rejoiced in each other's good words. Right, so that's pretty powerful right there. That these this noble Dhamma is received with great appreciation and great really taken word for word, line by line, and given thought to it because of the profundity of the message. So they can see the utility in themselves. So if someone is becomes aware of their inner unwholesome evil state and they hear this message, and this person is a disciple in the Dhamma and practicing the Dhamma, they will see this as a very good thing. There's a blemish in me, and it inspires zeal, inspires mindfulness, inspires energy to abandon that blemish. And they understand that it's really about coming out of a state of dukkha into a state of satisfaction. So realizing that you have inner unwholesome states is good news, because that's what gets you out of it. So this message is truly for the good of all those who are seeking their own freedom and their own liberation from suffering for the good of themselves and everyone. So with that concludes the sutta. If you have any thoughts or comments, like you want to talk about it at all, please.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. Which sutta was it again?
It's like it's in the very beginning. It's like without blemishes. It's like number 5. Yeah, Majjhima
Okay.
Nikaya 5. Yeah.
I thought your comments about the faith thing was interesting, because I think that can be a misinterpretation when people come from like a Catholic or a Christian background, because
Exactly.
it's so different in Buddhism.
Right. Yeah. So having faith is like a cornerstone like doctrine of Christian religions, and it's kind of like an ignorant faith. So it's a faith out of not seeing the fruit of it for yourself, but taking someone else's word for it because he's wearing a big hat and he tells you that you're going to burn in a fiery hell if you don't. So this is a more direct message to see that you are already burning in a fiery hell with these evil, unwholesome wishes within yourself. And here's the way out. So having faith in the way out of the fiery hell that you're already in, and then seeing the truth of uh, coming into a wholesome state through the teaching of the Dhamma, or coming into heaven right now, not in some afterlife. So that's kind of the difference in the faith, is that one is more it's blind faith, and one is faith based off, like, for instance, I have faith that this math teacher can teach me math. I have to have some amount of faith in order to study under this teacher. And it's kind of different than a kind of religious faith. So I learned math, and I see for myself that I learned this thing. But in the beginning, right, I have to have some amount of faith that this person knows what they're talking about. And that faith kind of comes from, in the sutta it mentioned, my heart sees your heart, or like my heart communicates clearly with your heart. So you see that this person is has abandoned evil, unwholesome states. It's just clear to see this person is free of ill will, and that's what tells you that this person knows what they're talking about, and that's what makes this person honorable and worthy of respect or noble. So that's what an arhat is. That's why I see, I listen to Dhammarato, and I see that this person is free from an unwholesome state, whether I would put it like that in my mind at the time or not. I see that this person is talking from a place of uh, of well-being, and of sincerity for the good of others. So he's sincerely teaching the Dhamma freely for the happiness and well-being of others, not out of lust for being honor, like gaining some sort of like worldly acclaim for it, but just because out of the goodness of his inner state, um, rippling out um, to others. So yeah, yeah. The beginning of the sutta, the it's really practical, like in terms of practice approach. Um, Sariputta categorizes four types of people. Um, I know it's funny, like there's only four types of people, and then it has these bracket categories. The first two have a blemish, so have an unwholesome state. One is aware of it, one's not. And it says the one that is aware of it is superior to the one who's not aware of it, because the one who's not aware of it is like putting a dirty bowl in a dusty corner. It's just going to get more dirty, and that person will likely die with a defiled mind. Whereas the one that is aware of it will inspire zeal to come out of it, to wake you out of this anger. Oh, this is anger. This is unwholesome. And no matter, so like you may be experiencing unwholesome thought, unwholesome thought. If you know each of these is unwholesome, eventually you will get to something. Ah, this is wholesome. So this is unwholesome, unwholesome, hindrance, hindrance, hindrance. No, but this is wholesome. This is different than the anger and all the other bitterness that was before it. But if you're just oblivious to these things going on inside of you, you don't know unwholesome as unwholesome, and you don't know wholesome and as wholesome. It's like a bowl being put in the dusty attic. So you're not going to either maintain it if it is wholesome, or seek to come out of it is it if it is unwholesome. So very simply put, um, just having the mindfulness or the wakefulness to be honest with yourself and look and see, uh, uh, this is unwholesome or this is wholesome, um, rather than judging yourself for it being unwholesome, which is more unwholesome. It's if you understood the practice correctly, understood the sutta correctly, it inspires zeal and right effort, and and almost kind of like an excitement about, haha, I got it. and now this is my chance out. This is the way out. And it's like a inner game of chess. Like you're coming into a wholesome state of mind because you're catching the unwholesome state of mind that is popping up inside of you, rather than going all the way down the rabbit hole of that unwholesome state and then having it clearly seen by others. So you want to catch these things before it seeps out into the world and other people can see, ooh, that guy's angry. What's that dude's problem, right? That guy just snapped at a minimum wage worker, and he just yelled at them, and everyone standing around is just looking at you like something's seriously wrong with this dude, and this dude has issues. So that's what happens if you don't become aware of this inner bitterness before it proliferates and spreads like a cancer, and then eventually infects your entire being until you're getting mad at people that have nothing to do with it, or nothing to do with the original source of the anger. And then let's say it does get that far and you do get mad at people, how quickly can you realize, oh, this is unwholesome? Because that's going to determine how much better you can wake up out of it and prevent it to begin with. And so I had a talk with Dhammarato, who had an interesting way of talking about Sotapan, Sakadagami, Anagami, and Arhat. Is that the Sotapan will get angry inside, will speak the anger, be angry about 7 more times. So say about 7 more angry things, or do 7 more angry things before waking up to it and realizing, oh, I'm angry. This is unwholesome. Wakey, wakey, come out of it, and then coming into a wholesome state again. So the idea is that the Sotapan will be reborn 7 more times before attaining knowledge, final knowledge. But the practical teaching that Dhammarato gave me is that the Sotapan will just be ignorantly repeating the unwholesome pattern about 7 more times before finally understanding what's going on. And but understanding it 7 more times is a whole lot better than the completely ignorant that go on for the rest of their life, or for until they end up in prison or something like that, or they traumatize their kids because they're alcoholic or something like that. So 7 more times is a whole lot better than not at all. So this is why the Sotapan is still a tremendous upgrade. And then the Sakadagami will get mad on the inside, say expletive or do an angry thing, and then realize it at once. So does it one time, wakes up out of it. So that's the once returner. So it returns one time to this unwholesome state, or this unwholesome action, and then nips it in the bud right then and there. And then the Anagami will get angry on the inside and shut his mouth right then and there because he sees it as unwholesome. So he catches it on the inside. So this is like a dependent origination thing. He catches it at a lower level of the dependent origination of this unwholesome state before it gets out. So he sees it, he gets angry on the inside. And on the inside, he's like, I'm angry. I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm not going to say anything. This is unwholesome. So that's the Anagami. So the never return. And then the Arhat sees it before it even develops into anger. So the Arhat steps out of the way of it like a Kung Fu master before it can even develop into an angry state. So he sees it at the point of liking or not liking. He sees it at the point of not liking. Like, oh, the situation is like, haha, you missed me. Like someone cuts you off and you're like, you could tell that you're about to get angry, but nope, not going to do it. Just keep smiling on. So the Arhat like is wise to it and anticipates it, like kind of like ultra instinct Goku. So he steps out of the way of it before he knows what's coming before it even comes. And this is a skill. This isn't like a Dhammarato is teaching it to me. It's not like you become an arhat and you're magically now you never get angry because your baseline was shifted, as most Westerners think. No, you just developed such quick wittedness and quick awareness and skillfulness that you have the ability to step out of the way of these things before they develop. So this is a very different understanding of being an arhat than magically now you never will get angry. No, you're just so skillful that you can step out of the way of anger before it happens.
What about other emotions like perhaps sadness?
Sadness is kind of like, it's a really vague word. So sadness could mean a lot of different things depending on the person's inner state and what's actually going on. So it's kind of not as easily categorizable as something like anger or bitterness. Whereas I can say right off the bat, anger is unwholesome. Everyone knows what anger is. And we can obviously say that falls under the category of ill will. Whereas sadness, it could mean different things, right? It could mean sloth and torpor, certainly. It could mean some sort of craving, some sort of wanting. It could mean some sort of delusion, or it could just be a natural.
Like, what if it's more of just like you've had a sad event happen in your life, and you're feeling sad. Like sometimes I just notice this, and I don't really know where I'm like, is this unwholesome or is it not? Because this is actually kind of like a sad thing that's going on, and I
Right.
feel okay. I'm like smiling, but I'm like, I feel sad about this. Like it's kind of confusing.
Yeah. So the question you have to ask yourself is this sadness a delusion or not? So the difference is if someone's telling you about how their only son committed suicide, and they're telling you this story, and they're taking refuge in telling you, you're going to feel sadness in that moment. That is completely wise, and that's completely appropriate. But if you're ruminating about something that isn't there, something that may have happened in the past, and you're bringing it up, you're deluding yourself into feeling sad, that would be unwholesome, because this is not. So you're repeating the karma of that event by bringing it up out of nothing when it's not there. When it's this moment is completely fine as it is.
So
So
maybe even with the example that you gave, maybe like even if you had repeated it later to somebody else, then that potentially could also be still unwholesome, right? Because you're just bringing something up again, and you're like, oh, I heard this story from some, and you know that you're kind of making yourself sad again when it's not really necessary because the event kind of passed.
right, that's definitely not necessary. So if you're sitting with someone or with other people who experienced maybe trauma in the past, the best thing to do with these people is to talk about something completely different and to change the mind state that's going on. So we don't need to talk about things that happened in the past. We can be here now, and we can appreciate, and we can see wholesomeness in this moment. It kind of reminds me of this video I watched recently where this kid, uh, he's kind of like drowning in the ocean, and he got separated from his dad. I don't know, maybe they're paddle boarding or kayaking or something, but this guy comes by in his boat to save him, and he's like, grab on, and he grabs on, and the kid is in a really fearful state, and he's like, I need my dad, where's my dad, where's my dad? And then what he does is he just starts asking the kid questions like like, oh, how old are you? And like just changing the topic, like, oh, he's like, I don't know how old. He's like, oh, you don't know how old you are? Like, that's kind of funny. And like, just changing the subject. And then all of a sudden, this kid is like answering like a normal, happy little kid, even though he was just about to drown. Because this guy was wise enough to change the subject, get him talking about something else, talking about something completely neutral and completely fine and wholesome, because the kid is okay. He's saving him right then and there. He's not drowning anymore. And he just totally changed the way the kid was feeling. And that's very easy to do with a kid, because a kid will go from throwing a tantrum to happy in an instant, because they are malleable in that way, and you can change the mind like that. And but people aren't that different from children, because oftentimes these unwholesome states, these trauma states, these fearful states are the childlike centers of our internal family system. So this is the inner child coming to the forefront, and the inner child can be dealt with as a real child, and consoled like that, and taken into a wholesome state of mind. So yeah, it is a good point you bring up on whether sadness is wholesome or unwholesome. I think it depends. It totally depends on the moment. Is it appropriate, or is it ruminating? Is the sadness intrinsic quality of the moment, or is it something that we're digging up or bringing up unnecessarily? Right.
Well, I feel great from talking to you. So
Oh man, like I'm glad you came. It's good to talk about. It's good to talk with the Sangha. It never fails to brighten my mood. I think I liked what we did this week. It was just me and Veda in the beginning, so I just picked a sutta and I just started reading it and going through each of the points, and I think it will make for a good video, even though there's not much dialogue going on, and it creates good dialogue rather than sitting there and waiting for a topic to arise. Us people who are not monks, it might be some usefulness to actually go through the suttas and find some of the ones that we haven't heard about and see what wisdom we can gain from it. So,
well, you mentioned there were four states in that one. You were saying two that had blemishes and two that didn't have blemishes. What were the other? Because you mentioned the two with blemishes, but what were the other two?
Oh yeah, so the one with no blemish, who is not aware that there is no blemish, and the one who with no blemish, who is aware that there is no blemish. And of the two, the one who is aware there is no blemish is the superior man. And that's because the one who has no blemish, who is not aware that he has no blemish, will be experiencing happiness or the fruit of having no blemish without knowing why. So he won't seek to maintain this state. He will lust for the PT or the sukha, and like a clean bowl put in a dusty corner, if you don't use it, if you don't maintain it, it's going to get dirty. And it's said that this person is likely to die with mind defiled because he's not aware that he had no blemish. So it's almost the same as having a blemish and not being aware of it. Not having a blemish and not being aware of it is the same, because the right effort won't be inspired in that person to keep it going, or to see that I have no blemish, to see that I am in a wholesome state. So the person with no blemish, who is aware I have no blemish, is like a bowl that's clean, that keeps being used, keeps being repeatedly washed, like a bronze bowl. It's polished and continually washed. Even though you keep using it, you keep polishing it and washing it, it's likely to just get cleaner and cleaner because it's a bronze bowl. So similar, someone who has no blemish and this is completely in the forefront of their awareness that they are in a wholesome state of mind. So knowing when you're in a wholesome state, when you actually are in a wholesome state, is what gives you more access to a wholesome state, because you know exactly You know exactly the cause and the condition. So you know exactly the dependent origination of the wholesome state, because you're aware that um, there's no evil, unwholesome states present here. So secluded from unwholesome states. It's the same as saying that a person with no blemish, that person is in first jhana. And to be aware that you are in first jhana means that you are likely to continue, and you're likely to die with mind undefiled. So that is the way to nibbana, and kind of the way out of the repetitive cycle of samsara, or the birth and death.
So would the person who has no blemishes and is not aware, would it be like somebody who's just super blissed out, but they don't know how they got there, or they don't know, like they're not even aware that
Even,
it's dependently originated?
yes, even the most ignorant people are happy sometimes. Not that even the most deluded people have experienced moments of happiness. It's just that they have no insight or wisdom as to why, and that they are actually happy in that moment. It'll pass them by and they'll forget about it, and they'll be back in hindrances before they know it. Because they have no awareness of kind of like the inner state of themselves, and they don't know this causes this. They don't know this. They don't know this angry thought causes this hellish dukkha, this continual dissatisfaction. And alternative to that, they don't know the absence of no unwholesome thought, the absence of no angry mind state, the absence of no unwholesome wishes results in purified minds, a wholesome state, satisfaction, peace, tranquility, equanimity, energy too, like zeal and tirelessness. So when when you're not spending all this energy on unwholesome wishes and loathing and disparagement and rumination, you're gonna have a lot of energy left over. So it's quite liberating in that sense, that you feel alive. Okay, you have all this childlike joy and childlike wonder that you know really it's you don't really need coffee. I still drink caffeine, but like it wakes you up,
Yeah, I find that like when I really get on a roll, like talking about Dhamma, that like
energy. Yeah,
it just goes. I noticed this, but my parents were just visiting, and they asked me a couple of times about practice or something, and as soon as they asked me, they got like a 2 hour like just spiel of like me explaining,
You can just keep going and going. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly the energy that it's talking about.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Wonderful.
All right. Well,
yeah, thanks, man.
I think that's
I appreciate sharing.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
This
have a nice night, or have a nice day there.
Yeah, the call got cut off, so I think it's been going for like probably an hour and a half now. So
okay.
It was good to see you. And
yeah, good to see you, buddy. Have a good one.